Let's have some MikroTik access point configuration. In this video, MikroTik access point configuration. So as usual, we will start with default configuration and we will check our MikroTik system license if it supports AP configuration. Thereafter, we will check the required system package for our wireless. We'll go through the wireless menu walkthrough. We'll do some tests first on our wireless environment. Then we will configure our wireless access point and then test our wireless access point connection with some devices. Alright, in this demo, we have a MikroTik Hub AC Lite. So this model comes with two wireless interface. So as you can see, we are in a default configuration, and from this display or window, you will notice that you have an WLAN 1 configuration and WLAN 2 configuration, which has a mode of AP bridge already. So we'll go to the details on this demonstration. Okay, first on our checklist is to determine if what is the current system license for this MikroTik. So we go to system, we go to license, and we'll notice we have level 4. So in MikroTik we have up to level 6. So why this is significant? Because you cannot run this device or this MikroTik device into an access point mode if the license is below 4. So meaning to say if you have 3 or other license lower than 4, then you can only set up on a bridge wherein you can only connect a single client. But if you are serving multiple clients, so therefore you would want it to become an access point, then the minimum license requirement is level number 4. Okay, the next thing to check is if our MikroTik device has the required package. So in MikroTik terminology, they have these packages wherein you can go to System, you go to Packages menu, and you take a look at this list. These are the main packages or main package for this MikroTik device. So here, you'll go through the list and notice there is wireless, which is not faded out. So it's not disabled. So unlike IPv6, so it's faded out. So therefore, it's default disabled. So here, you just need to make sure that the wireless package is there because you can uninstall it or perhaps disable it. So make sure it's enabled and you won't have any problems. So again, you need to go to system, you need to go to packages and make sure the wireless package is there and it's enabled. So now the license is settled, the packages is there, so we can now go to the wireless menu. So hover to the wireless menu, click on this one, you go to the first tab. So as you notice, there are two WLAN 1 and WLAN 2 entries that are faded out. So if you see, the flag is XS, and if you wait for a while, it says disabled and it's slave. Okay, so meaning to say it's X disabled and slave because these two interfaces or these two Wi-Fi interfaces are members of a bridge. For example, you have a default bridge, a default configuration bridge, and if you go to ports, WLAN 1 and WLAN 2 is there. So X is for disabled, S is for enabled. So this interface is for 2.4 gigahertz. This interface is for 5 gigahertz. So you need to click on each interface and enable the Wi-Fi interface that you wish to run on your environment. So this is dual band, meaning to say you can run the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz interface. Okay, so let's enable the first Wi-Fi interface named WLAN 1. So you click on this one and you click the check or enable. So it won't be faded out. The X will be gone. And we double click and go inside the settings. So as you can see, the name is WLAN1. You can actually change the name of this Wi-Fi interface. We can go through the rest of the menus later, but we have to do first a test of your current wireless environment by making use of these tools that are available in MikroTik. Okay, one tool we could use that is available in this wireless menu is frequency usage. So we can click on this one and do a run on WLAN 1, which is our 2.4 interface, and we go start, and it will perform a check on which frequency has a higher usage or which frequency has this particular usage. So you'll have this frequency 2412, or you could say channel 1 down to channel 13. Okay, so you channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, and so on and so forth. So you'll notice you have an idea which frequency or channel you could use that is not within a higher usage. So for example, this one, or for example, this one, or this one. So it depends in your environment. So it's good or nice thing to do or check your environment. So you could see there are some changes on this frequency. So perhaps you run the test for a while to determine if what is really not that busy or frequency without other access points that are operating on that particular frequency. So you could use this frequency usage. Another tool that you could use is Wireless Snooper. So this could give you some more detail in terms of the usage in each of the frequencies. So we click on this one. So we'll click start, and you'll notice this has more detail than the previous one, the frequency usage. You'll see the channel or the frequency. You have the channel with the wireless amendment, G or N, and the transmit power. So I'm just hiding the address and the SSID or the Wi-Fi name for confidentiality, but you'll see, and if you will run on your own, the neighboring Wi-Fi in your environment, as well as the signal strength, the frequency and the traffic, and perhaps an idea of the bandwidth and other details that could help you determine which frequency, or sometimes you don't have choice already because your environment is too crowded with several access points. But at least best practice is to perform a so-called survey in your wireless environment. So MikroTik has a built-in tools, frequency usage, and wireless snooper to at least help us on that part. Now that we have performed some sort of wireless survey, so we can go ahead and go back to our wireless configuration by double clicking or clicking this WLAN interface. So general, so we have seen this a while ago. So the tools are also here. Okay, so the tools are also available. So not only here, but as well as here, specific to this particular interface. So we could now proceed to the second menu, which is the wireless, wherein it's the place or the setting or the tab wherein we can change it to an access point. So first is mode. So current mode is station. So in MikroTik, a station is a client or a receiver. Okay, so we are trying to configure this as an access point. So the first setting that we need to change is change this one into an AP bridge. Okay, so we have some more other choices, but again, this video is constrained to access point. So here you have the band. So you see me tell you, or you hear me tell you, that this WLAN 1 is 2.4 because out of experience, WLAN 1 is 2.4. But if you don't want to guess the frequency that it will run, you go inside its setting, wireless setting, and you will notice the band that is available to you. So you have 2 gigahertz only. So you choose which amendment you will run, so only N or BGN, or to provide some backward compatibility in your environment. So for instance, I will select only N, but then again, it depends on your scenario here. So channel width, okay, so you have some channel width uh, choice. So for now, it's a channel width 20. So we will not go to further detail on this channel width to uh, limit our discussion. So again, they have the frequency. So if you have your chosen frequency out from your wireless survey, so you select on that one. So let's say this is the not so busy frequency. Okay, so the fourth one, so channel 4. Next is your SSID, or your Wi-Fi name. So for example, we have this my demo Wi-Fi as my name. Okay, so mode is there, band is there, frequency is there, Wi-Fi name is there. So you'll notice each of the setting that you will change from the black text, it will form, or it will turn to blue. Next is the frequency mode. So you have some options here: manual TX power, regulatory domain, and super channel. So for now, I will constrain to regulatory domain, but there are future videos that we will discuss on the usage of this one, manual TX power and super channel. So I will constrain first with my country regulations, so regulatory domain. So you have to select my country. So we'll go to down and go to select Philippines, for example. So you have installation, whether it's indoor or outdoor. So for now, I will select any. Okay, so this is the basic mode or basic window for this tab, because if you go to the right, you will see an advanced mode. So we will click on this and see if there are additional settings that we need to configure. I have clicked the apply to commit the changes in the wireless settings. So you will notice as well on the bottom of this window, it says running AP. So if we will check on our mobile devices or Wi-Fi devices, for example, a laptop or your cell phone, we would see this My Demo Wi-Fi that it should be broadcasting. However, there are some other settings that we need to take a look and see if we have some changes on it. So we click on the advanced mode. So we are now in the advanced mode. So in the advanced mode, there are just additional settings that you could put some value or set some value. However, you'll still see the mode and the other settings that we have previously or just recently set. Okay, so we still have the mode, the band, the channel width, the frequency, and the Wi-Fi name. So you will see a radio name. So this name will be used on identifying the wireless radio or this Wi-Fi interface or this access point when it connects to other clients. Or for example, if this is an AP bridge, you will see a registration of those clients, especially if they are particularly using a MikroTik access point. Okay, so this will be useful in identifying the stations. On the other way around, if this is a station, it will also reflect the access point radio name. So radio name is a MikroTik parameter. So for example, we'll put my AP01 as my example for the radio name. So we'll just leave this scan list as default. You will have to decide on the DFS channel. So normally you'll have to skip the DFS channels, dynamic frequency selection, or you could have some settings or changes on this one. So for example, let's leave it as it is. Okay, so we are on the 2 gigahertz. So wireless protocol, okay, so we have any here, and we have some settings or options that we can choose. So we have NStream, NV2, and the 802.11. So this is open standard. This is MikroTik Wireless protocol or proprietary protocol. So if you select on this, you are constraining clients or stations for this access point to be MikroTik only. However, if you want to have some clients, for example, mobile phones of different brands or laptop, then we have to choose 802.11. But the default one, any, will be okay or suffice for this matter. Next is the security profile. So security profile is important because it will determine if your Wi-Fi is open and or it has some form of authentication prior to the connection to the wireless. So again, if the security profile is leave as default, this Wi-Fi will be open. So the security profile is actually here. Okay, so we can go to this later and we'll have to take a look at what are the security profiles that we can add. So for now, the drop down arrow is, or the drop down for this thing is only for default. Okay, so next is the regulatory domain. So we have already done that one, Philippines and other stuff. We have to scroll down. Okay, so we have some options here. So normally we have only changed the radio name and the let's discuss the wireless protocol and the DFS channel. So but for now we have to choose, or we have chosen disabled. But for example, if we this is a 5 gigahertz, then we have to determine this one. So next is we will create or add or check the security profile. So for now, we'll click on apply for this wireless 1 or wireline 1 settings. So we go to the security profiles tab. So remember, we are from this window. So to go to the security profile tab, so either you can just minimize this or get it on the way, or you can close this window and go to the security profile tab. It's still under the wireless menu. Okay, so notice you have the default security profile that is the option only on the advanced mode. So when we go to the security profile, the drop down is only showing default, because in security profiles you only have the default, of course, obviously. So we have to go in and see what are the settings here. So default is the name, the mode is none. So the mode is none. The mode, you have some choices. Okay, so it's none, so meaning to say there's no form of authentication, whether it's WPA or WPA2, whether it's pre-shared key or EAP, or the other encryption. Okay, so this one is intended if you have some public Wi-Fi wherein you have some other forms of authentication other than the pre-shared key. Okay, so we will leave this as default and add our own security profile. So let's just term it as my security profile for now. Okay, so you have to select which key. So you have static keys and dynamic keys. So there are meanings of this one. Okay, so these are the olden days keys wherein we will select WEP and so on and so forth. So dynamic keys, we have some choices for WPA and WPA2. Okay, so for security, we can uncheck the WPA and persist WPA2 pre-shared key, we can go to a higher encryption standard or go to the TKIP. So it depends on your environment whether you are enforcing a higher security level and higher encryption standard. So you have to type your WPA2 pre-shared key, which is highlighted here because we have unchecked the WPA. So if we check on this one, so in these two boxes, okay, or fields, you need to supply. Okay, so for instance, we will check these two for this demonstration, and we will also select TKIP for this demonstration to provide some backward compatibility if some device would not be able to support this advanced encryption standard. Okay, so for example, the pre-shared key is, let's say, a very uh, simple one. So I'm typing here and you have some wildcard characters. So to review or to make sure you want the correct password typed correctly, so you have the go here to settings and unhide the password, so it will show, for example, password for Wi-Fi. So you can copy paste this one, and obviously you have to make sure to select or to create a strong password other than this example. So for now, this is demonstration purposes, and let's leave it this way. Okay, so password for Wi-Fi. So my security profile, it depends on you what are the authentication types, the encryption that you would like, and obviously please make sure your password is strong or periodically change this password so that again those intended to use this access point will only be the one to access this one because the password is not known to everybody or everyone or easily be identifiable. Okay, so we click apply and click OK. So we now have a new security profile entry, and we go back to the Wi-Fi interface WLAN 1 and see if this is now available in the drop-down menu. Okay, so from security profile tab, we go back to the Wi-Fi interfaces and go to the WLAN 1. And we're still on the advanced mode because if this is simple mode, okay, this is simple mode button, meaning to say this is in advanced mode. So if you click simple mode, meaning to say you are in the simple mode, and this is written as advanced mode. So we don't need to be confused on this one. Okay, so we go to advanced mode because the security profile is not present or visible in the simple mode. So advanced mode. So we go to the security profile. So as you can see, we now have some choices for the security profile. So we now have our My Security profile. So we go select on this one so that our Wi-Fi will have some form of authentication with a pre-shared key which we have written or we have typed in the security profile tab. So we click apply and we'll click OK. Okay, so now for the moment of truth, whether this Wi-Fi access point configuration will be working and we will have some clients that will be able to connect to this Wi-Fi interface. So for now, we have none because we have two clues. This is S, so there is no A or active flag or code. Second is in the registration table, we don't have any clients listed here. So we have an idea that for this interface, there is no one yet connected to this one. Before we connect some client, if you will ask me first whether when a client connects, will they get an IP address? So the answer is yes, because this is in default configuration. So remember, these interfaces, these Wi-Fi interfaces are part of a bridge interface, and this bridge interface has an IP address, and this bridge interface is providing DHCP server. Okay, so the default configuration takes care on that matter, wherein our client will have an IP as long as they can successfully authenticate for this Wi-Fi. Okay, so I have a test client. I use my mobile phone to connect to this Wi-Fi interface. So as you notice, it should be R, not A. So it should be R running and S. So a while ago it's S. So now when there is a client that is connected to this Wi-Fi interface, it should add R running. Okay. Then you go to the registration tab, you will notice that there is now a client that is connected with an uptime of these seconds. It is not an access point. And remember, there is no radio name because I am using a client, a mobile phone, that is not a MikroTik device. I will have some TX rate and RX rate, my transfer and receive rates. So you will have to determine if these rates are what you expect on your Wi-Fi interface. So, but for now, it's successful. A client is connected to this particular Wi-Fi interface. And again, if you want to really double check if this client has gotten an IP address, you can go to IP DHCP server and you go to the leases, and you will see that by virtue of default configuration, the client has an IP of 192.168.88.254, and you notice I have some uh, address here, such as well the active MAC address as well as the expiry of the lease. Okay, so there you go. For these 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi interfaces, we have successfully tested that a client can actually connect to this Wi-Fi interface. Since it's a dual band MikroTik device, it supports another WLAN 2. So if you will have to enable this one, WLAN 2, and you go in and go to the wireless tab, you'll notice that the change is on the band. Okay, so this WLAN 2 now operates on a 5 gigahertz frequency. Okay, so you'll have to select your band, whether it's N or AC. Okay, so this is half AC light, so you could safely select the AC as well as check your frequency, and now you have a number of frequency that you can select. Then again, you have to do some wireless survey in terms of what are the things that you can set, what are the frequency that is best fitted in your environment. Then your SSID will still be there, your frequency mode will still be there, and you can still go to the advanced mode, put in a radio name. Now you have to think on the DFS channels since this is in 5 gigahertz, and as well as your wireless protocol and security profile for this 5 gigahertz. But for the purposes of demonstration, we will limit the demonstration for 2.4. But if we really going to configure this, is practically the same. We'll go to AP bridge. We'll select a 5 gigahertz band. We have some channel width. Okay, so it could support up to 80 megahertz. Okay, so we have some frequency changes as well as the usual security profile as well as the frequency and the country. Okay, so that will be for the 5 gigahertz. So they can actively be operating the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz in this particular device. So you could safely enable these two for this MikroTik. So in this video, MikroTik access point configuration. So we have started in a default configuration. So first we have checked If we have the required system license level of number 4, level 4, we also go to the system package and determine if the wireless package is enabled. Next, we go to the wireless menu itself and show you where we could find the Wi-Fi interfaces. So for our demonstration, we have a model that has two Wi-Fi interfaces, which is 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. But before we go into the Wi-Fi configuration or Wi-Fi setting, we have shown you how to use the built-in tools in MikroTik to perform some sort of wireless survey. So particularly, we have used the frequency usage and the wireless snooper tool. After we have used the built-in tools or built-in wireless tools in MikroTik, so we did go in to one of the interfaces, so particularly the 2.4 interface, and go to the wireless tab to start configuring the access point. So under the wireless simple mode configuration, we have changed the mode from station by default to AP bridge because we want it to become an access point. So we show you the band, so some choices for the 2 gigahertz, as well as the frequency. So it depends on your survey, which has the least interference. So you select the frequency or the channel number. Then you type in the SSID or the Wi-Fi name. That will be the name that will be broadcasting to your Wi-Fi devices. We have also selected the frequency mode. So we have chosen the default one, regulatory domain, as well as select the country. After the simple mode, we also go to the advanced mode and find some additional settings that we need to put. For instance, the radio name as well as the security profile. So we did go to the security profile to create some form of authentication by using some pre-shared key. From there, we tested our 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi and we have successfully shown you that there is a test Wi-Fi device that is able to connect and acquire an IP address. Also, we have enabled the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi interface and shown you the settings inside this interface. Then we finally go into the 5 gigahertz wireless settings, and obviously the difference will be the band, so it will be running on 5 or operating on 5 gigahertz. Obviously there are difference on the frequency that is available, so now there are more frequencies in the 5 gigahertz band. However, the mode will still be the same, the SSID will still be the same parameter that we can supply into, and as well as the security profile will still be needed to configure if we opt for a Wi-Fi that requires authentication. So there you go. This is MikroTik access point configuration, and thank you for watching.